Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Science Thursday, we're going to talk about ethanol blending in India 2025. So let's dive deep into it. So let's understand this ancient technology. Now, Henry Ford, basically when he started to work on engine and construction and all that jazz, he started with ethanol fuel, and this was in 1896. And then we had some bad things, some bad women got into power and they banned alcohol. Yes, women were that crazy, and this project died out. So he switched to gasoline at that point in time. Now, here's the deal. If we have been doing it, why this is a new thing? Well, first, people don't read history. Second, ethanol always has lower energy than petrol and diesel. Like fundamentally, this graph is the most critical graph you will see in almost every energy related book, specifically dealing with fuel and hydrocarbons. Hydrogen gives you the most energy per kilogram. But here's the deal. As you become adult, you realize that kilograms do not matter that much as liters, because again, that compensates for the volume. If you go into an aircraft, it can measure fuel in how many kilograms of fuel it has, and again, they will even talk about it. It's like, okay, we have 100 tons of fuel and all that. Just A380 has that kind of stupid numbers, but most of the time it has a volume. Volume would be measured in kiloliters, as in 1000 liters, 28 kiloliters, or things of that nature. You have hydrogen compressed tanks or CNG compressed tank. All of them have a liter capacity, how much empty volume is in there. So that's why kilogram does not matter. You have to go into liters. Now, the moment you go into liter, you will realize that petrol and diesels, while in terms of kilogram, they're not that dense. They're not that powerful, as in like compared to 120, this puppy will only give you, let's just say, 40, 45, that kind of thing. But the moment you compare into liters, now we are looking at 38 megajoule in terms of diesel, compared to even liquid hydrogen that barely gives you 8 megajoule. So what does that mean? Well, when we tried that with ethanol, that puppy only gives you 22 kilojoule per liter. So basically, hydrogen is the power source, but cement is the carbon. If you do not have carbon binding hydrogen, you will not have enough hydrogen atoms to do anything useful with it. So unless you have carbon binding it, it's useless. And again, the more carbon that is binding things, the better it is. So that's why you will keep going up from, like, methane would be lower, then propane would be a bit better, then you will have E10 fuel, then you will have gasoline, then you will have jet propellant 8, then you will have diesel. So that's how it keeps going up. Now, ethanol, we tried it. It's a known thing. Everything works. It also has oxygen, so it does burn a bit more cleanly, bit more, not too much. And engines have to be designed for that. So this puppy, C2H5OH molecule, it does have certain chemical properties that makes it far more desirable in terms of actual mechanical to motion conversion. Basically, you have chemical fuel. That chemical fuel has to be converted into actual motion, right? That conversion, there are certain feature set of this chemistry of this puppy that makes it ideal. One of the primary one is this puppy is very knock resistant, meaning this molecule chain is very stable. It does not like to make love with oxygen as quickly as possible. So benefit of that is you have to compress this, and you can compress it much further, meaning if you have a diesel engine and you put even a small amount of petrol into it and you try to compress it, before it goes into top dead center, it will go kaboom, because again, it will heat up so much, and the knock, it will go into what we call knock. But when you're talking about ethanol can handle ludicrously high compression. Like it can go like you can compress that puppy, and ethanol is like, I got this, I can take it. So if you design an engine for that, this can give you powers, bonkers level of power. Basically, how bonkers? F1 used to use it for a short duration. So it has very knock resistant on chemical level itself. On top of that, because of this chemical nature, it has what we call very high latent heat of vaporization, meaning this puppy, when you squirt it from your fuel injector, especially in-cylinder fuel injector, it will cool down everything. It will cool down everything. It's like, relax. And that helps engine to perform without overheating. And that also suppresses the knock, meaning now you can compress even more. What is the temperature difference? Basically, when you vaporize petrol, you can get a temperature cooling of 20 degrees Celsius, relative terms. When you put this puppy in, almost 80-degree cooling you can get. So it is enough where you can have ludicrously high compression, and this puppy chemically and its mechanical property, both of them allows it to like and then you can get really powerful booms. So these are the good side of basically ethanol. But let that be very clear, you can, if you design the engine right, you're gonna get bonkers amount of power, but mileage is bye-bye. You do not worry about mileage, because again, your fuel injector would be in petrol, it will be pss, pss. In ethanol, it will be bleh. It literally, that's how big difference is. That's why dragsters use basically ethanol system, and they have so much fuel injector pressure, they might just like coast the cylinder. It's like You have to put a lot of ethanol to get any work done. But it does have two benefits. First, it cool downs everything. Second, it suppresses knock very, like you can compress it. So that's the good part. Now, another desirable thing why Rudolf Diesel and Henry Ford, both of them had like very good idea about basically combustion engine. Both of them were using bio stock, none of them, because again, when during the time of Rudolf Diesel, there was no diesel fuel. Diesel engine is named after Rudolf Diesel, the guy. Diesel fuel is named after his supposed death. So they were wasting diesel. They had no idea like this is liquid horsepower as they call it. So at that time, he was using vegetable oil. That's why even modern diesel car can run on vegetable oil, as long as your fuel filter does not clog up. But most of, if you buy a fresh one, you can just run it without any issue. So, biomass. This guy, again, biomass. But again, women got into power and they were like, let's ban alcohol because we are stupid. So, that happened. And almost all biomass can be utilized because all biomass have some amount of sugar and starch and stuff like that. It can go through fermentation and can give you liquid fuel, ethanol. Now, okay, if this technology is ancient, like 1896, and again, we did had basically probation era, but that era passed, then why didn't we go back to this? Well, again, it goes back to the same thing. It does not have enough basically capacity. Basically, a fuel injector would have to like, and you will run out of fuel very quickly, like ludicrously quickly. So it phased out, like people phased out. And another aspect is the good reason why it was phased out. This was Mach 1 fuel, biofuels. They are not good. As in, they compete with food crops. And let that be very clear. You will have hard time without fuel. You will be dead without food. Let that be very clear. You cannot, this puppy cannot go without 3 months without food. So fundamentally, people kind of realize that if you have to compete and our population has expanded, anything that you are growing on land in order to fuel your vehicles, it's stupid. It's just stupid. It was good when our population was under 1 billion. Now it's just lol. So fundamentally, this is what we are talking about when we are talking about ethanol. So there are some history of it. Now let us be very clear. People wanted to have more oomph out of petrol because petrol was like a bit too sensitive. It's like you compress it. It's like, what the hell, man? Like you want to like it. So to boost that, we add what we call octane rating. Basically, we want some high octane fuel. Now we added ethanol in petrol. Now earlier we used to add lead into it because we are super smart. Then we realized, we had a lot of naughty things, and then we realized just put ethanol. And that's why most car engines, if done correctly, even with a little bit of wiggle room, should able to handle 5 to 10% ethanol blend without too much hassle, even in long uses, simply because high octane fuel already have high ethanol blends. So that's there. So, and this is in 1930s, late 30s, late 40s, people started to add this sort of thing where they're like, hey, instead of lead, how about ethanol? So things happened. And then we had Israel-Arab war that happened in 1973. That triggered what we call oil crisis, this puppy, bad things. Now this triggered a lot of research worldwide in ethanol because a lot of countries were externally dependent and they did not have their bitch slap moment. This became the bitch slap moment where they're like, whoa, 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 you are telling me that somebody else outside can control what I eat? Well, yes. So Brazil was very poorly affected by that. And they did something very wise. They're like, okay, now let's figure. Brazil did not give a damn about environment. They gave a damn about independence. Basically, they wanted independence. So they created a multi-year game plan, almost multi-decade game plan. So the idea was they will introduce with small blend, which again, nobody will notice about it simply because we add it as a booster, so to say, low blends. And they will give time to basically all car engine manufacturer to switch to flex fuel. Now, what does that mean? That simply means you generally have a much better adaptable fuel computer, and basically your fuel injector has to be like, because again, the moment you increase ethanol, you will think no, your fuel pump becomes like, you have to dump a lot of ethanol. So flex fuel car will be created. So people will have a good choice, and E10 would be made available for very long duration. They did not went like, okay, kaput. No E10, because again E10 is the upper limit. Like most companies will honor their warranty as long as you are running below E10 or at E10. The moment you go above E10, as in like E15, 15% ethanol blend, they're like warranty void, car engine kaput. Something that's the sweet spot. Like 10% is the sweet spot. Most engines should be able to tolerate E10. So almost all nations that have this sort of ethanol blend, they will have one unleaded plus, which is basically 10% ethanol added. That option will be there. So that's how Brazil did it. And again, they had a very methodic plan about it. And they were not giving a damn about political parties nor environment. Their core focus was, let's make Brazil a bit more independent. So brick by brick, day by day, they started from E10 to E20 to now I think the lowest you can go is E30. And heck, there are E95 available. I'm like, wait a minute. E85 is there, E90 is there. Why not E100? You can have E100, but not in winters. Ethanol is ludicrously hard to ignite, especially in winters, especially if there is nothing petrol to boost it up. So it almost becomes invert once you have that much. It's like, whoa, add something to it to ignite it. So, and public had time to naturally adapt, and people who had the car and they were not very rich, they could not just buy a new car. They were still fine. And people who wanted to getting new cars, they were like, hey, we have flex fuel, let's get into that. And people over time switched over. So it was a very smooth transition, and things worked out. Now, USA had a similar plan in 1970s, but they did not have so much oomph about it. They're like, okay, they just got bored. Like, so one president comes in, is like, I want independence. Another is like, another comes in, I want independence. And they're like, So that back and forth kind of teetered it out. However, during, let's just say, late 2000s, people started to really think about environment. At that point in time, basically, Brazil went through independence route. America went through environmental route. And they also started to jump into ethanol blending. And they destroyed the country. Same as Brazil, because both of them, basically America and Brazil, which were going YOLO on ethanol, they diverted a lot of farmlands from food to fuel. That's why I specified it's not sustainable. And in terms of CO2 emission, America had a long-term study from basically 2002 to 2022. That was the 20-year period. Results are in, it was bad, like really, really bad. Now, to be fair, they were smoking something bad when they thought using corn. Like they should have used sugarcane. Sugarcane was a bit more better yield, so to say. But that was genuinely dumb. What they did was genuinely dumb. And again, results are in, you can look into it. All research data is like, yeah, this was a bad idea. And again, in case of Brazil, they cleared out almost all rainforests, so much forest has been shift deleted for this ethanol. It's like, yeah, it's not beneficial, fundamentally. And again, the food cost also goes up. Like America's food cost is stupid. Like you would think a country that is that huge and has such a tiny population. And yes, I'm Indian and Chinese. People can talk about America being a small country. So fundamentally, like food should be free. Like it should be like, bro, we don't worry about food. But it's like, they have to import food. Yeah, because all the farms are corn. So fundamentally, this was the penalty of it. But again, this is the history of it. Now, India government just decided. I have no idea, but again, Indian government also had like some old plan where it's like, we're going to have some amount of ethanol because again, it made logical sense and it was an octane booster. Nobody cared about it. And somehow something happened in recent time. India just went ham into it. Where it's just like, okay, 10% by 2022. Like, okay, that's not that long ago. Heck, my car was bought in 2019. And that may be able to handle 10%. But again, ideally, car company should not void your warranty at that point in time. And again, 10% car should be able to handle it. And they went to E15 in 2023. And the car engines can't handle that. Like basically this jump from 2022 to 12% to 14.6% to 20%, that happened way too quickly. And here's the deal. What does that mean? That simply means any car we have bought before 2023, it's running on unsustainable fuel, meaning from engine's point of view, you are putting something wrong into it. From a company's point of view, you are on your own because you are running it on untested fuel or uncompatible fuel. From insurance company, all your insurance will be denied because it's not compatible. The engine clearly says, the model clearly says E10 maximum. You are dumping E20 into it. And we did not got a basically fuel pump option where it's like, okay, go back to E10. There is no E10. Government just mixed it wholesale in everything. Only premium gasoline, like high premium gasoline, which is ludicrously expensive, that has that. And again, there is premium and sub-premium and then normal. Normal is fully, and sub-premium is also blended. So some people had issues where it's like, okay, even if I'm paying for premium fuel, I'm not getting that feel for it. So they're like, okay, let me file a RTI, right to information. Outcome was like, yeah, it's actually just ethanol. We are just effing you. So fundamentally, by 2023, it's like most cars right now in the Indian road are running on unsustainable fuel, meaning we are on our own. Car will not be covered under warranty. Insurance will just deny us. And we do not have the option in a petrol pump to go back to E10. We just don't. And they're smoking something even hard. The idea is, and again, this was the target. Target was E20 by 2030, slowly over time. They jumped forward to it by 2025. As in, like, this happened way too quickly. We do not have engines right now in the market. And E30 is also planned. And again, that is also planned very quickly. It's like, and again, E20 to E30 is such a big jump. Your car engine that can handle E20 cannot handle E30. Like, unless it's a flex fuel and is tested for E95. So fundamentally, there was no transparency. Like, when did government just decided that we're going to unilaterally do this? Do not give any fallback option, and who will be responsible? There was no transparency. It just happened, and we got stuck with this. And again, this is very quick. See, 2018, 2019, when I bought it, 2020 and 2021, 2022, 2023, okay, this is dangerous. 2024, okay, it's causing harm. 2025, yeah, your engine is kaput. And again, let that be clear, based on how much you use it, based on your environmental condition, some engines can last quite some time. Other engines are like, yeah, fuel injectors are getting kaput. Others will say gaskets are being kaput. And again, this happens so quickly. You would think companies will have option, hey, can you modify the engine? And yes, engines are modifiable because inherently you are just changing the fuel injectors and fuel computer. It should be doable. Again, we do it. We have petrol cars, we can switch to CNG. We can even switch to propane, LPG. Fuel conversion kits are available. It should have been available. If government is doing this mandatory change, we do not have an option of fallback. At least government should talk with car companies and it's like, hey, please apply some offers so people can switch my car. My car is kaput now. So like, realistically speaking, I do not expect to use my car engine for much longer time. Like, it will be kaput. And again, they are not stopping. Like, this jump should not happen this quickly. So what's the outcome? Outcome is F customers. Basically, Indian public did not get a choice or a say. When did this happen? Why did this happen? This just happened. So that's the whole point. And car can't last in the Indian market anymore. And again, that creates a very serious problem. Not every Indian is billionaire. So that creates a scenario where it's like, we buy car for thinking at least 10 to 15 years, at least. Now cars are like, oh, it's a smartphone. You buy it, 2 years later, fuel changes, buy a new car. What the hell? We are not that rich. If we were that rich, we will not be in India. So fundamentally, this is a really bad thing. And fundamentally, lifespan is now limited, meaning you can't even expect your car to last 7 to 10 years. It just can't. So that creates the issue. So 10% is a maybe. Your car engine may be able to handle it properly. 20% will cause harm. 30% your engine will be kaput. 30% will be just kaput. And what will happen? Well, all your parts will be corroded. Why? Ethanol consumes water from the atmosphere. It's very hygroscopic. So, and if your petrol tank was designed with petrol in mind, they will not have the coating. They will not have the sealing. They will not have corrosion resistance needed to handle that. So old cars, basically the cars that are completely healthy, like if you run them on petrol, they will run easily 5 to 10 years more. They are getting corroded like this. This is not sustainable, fundamentally speaking. Now here's the deal. Why did it went ahead? Well, recently the market is down. Okay, people are losing their jobs. Inflation is out of stupid levels. So people are not buying cars. Not everybody is rich. So that creates a scenario where car companies do not have the luxury of healthy market. They are not able to move units, as they call it. So they're stuck. Now, if government kaputs all the old cars, now you will move units. Even if people have to go into debt, they will buy cars. So car companies are loving it. They are having orgasmic sales with this. So they are happy. Now, oil companies, they have very unique thing. Their number does not go up, but their expenditure go down. That's the very unique for them, because again, Russia is giving us oil at very reasonable price. Venezuela is also might be, handling things. And again, OPEC is also reasonable right now. So fuel that we are getting, crude oil wise, very good. We have national resources in order to convert those crude oil products into refined outputs. We good, we got this. And here's the deal. What if you have to sell a little of it to the customer? And what if you blend it with a cheaper alternative? So price remains the same. This is my report card. Basically, all my years of basically fuel consumption I stored in this. In my court case, I had to travel a fixed distance for a very long duration. So like it was 220 kilometers in one direction. Ideally, I generally do in evening, I fill up the tank, come into my garage to court to fuel tank again, fuel pump. And all this is a fixed distance, 440 kilometers, exactly on odometer. And generally, I could go full tank to full tank and calculating how much fuel we consumed. Outcome was around 22 kilometer per liter I was getting in my car. Now I'm getting 18 to 19. Now I do not know whether it's because of my car is being like, acting up, or is the fuel contaminated. Contaminated as in, like, if it's above E10, it will have this sort of, even E10, most people are like, yeah, it will have effect on the mileage. So yeah, I reached a scenario where, yeah, this is bad. And mileage does go drop. Again, for looking at people who are dealing with this, my mileage drop is very subtle, comparatively speaking. Now, it could be because I don't drive that much. Most of my car travel is just to the court case. So, travel-wise, like how many kilometers I have accounted, that's not that much. So, oil companies are keeping the price fixed. Now, that is the good part. Not good part as in, like, less painful part. The fuel, when I last refilled it, it was 97 rupees 61 97 rupees 61 paise. The highest I had is 99.55 paise. So that was in September 2022. That was the highest. So fundamentally, they have successfully reduced their expenditure and they have kept the price same, and they are making awesome profit. Their profit margin has gone up, which is very rare and very hard to do in a company. And they are swimming in money. Insurance company, they are just like on like constant orgasm. They're just like, sir, engine or kaput, wrong fuel, kaput, wrong fuel, everything, every problem, wrong fuel, done, wrong fuel, done. They are like, just like, they no longer have to claim anything. It's just like, whew, they're like, awesome. So that's there. Now, what does public get? Well, public gets a weak car that cannot last anymore. And again, I can't even blame the car. It's just that government changed it and I did not have any say into it. So public gets a basically no alternative, no coverage. We are just stuck with a car that is almost becoming a smartphone, where they're like, oh, just change it every 2 years. I'm like, if I were that rich, I would not be here. I will be in Australia. They have legal services there. But that's the problematic part. Now, thankfully, enough pain has been caused by this that there is a public interest litigation has been filed in Supreme Court of India to basically challenge this. This idea is not good. Ethanol blend, especially E20, that is not good. E10, people were able to digest it. E20 is like, no. And why is that? Well, it's illegal, flat out illegal. We have customer protection specifically from government for this exact thing, where it's like some company cannot just change something. But again, what if government changes it? But again, it would be on government to communicate with everybody. It's like, hey, we're gonna do this. This is how we're gonna handle it. This is how the time frame. Not just like, oh, I feel like it, so F the public. That cannot happen. So I am hoping, I am praying, I am begging that the Supreme Court stops it. Like, they just roll it back, at least to E10. Like, just stop it. Or rich people are getting richer and poor people are just dying. It's like, that's not logical. So this is really, and again, we could have been happy with it if we had options. If they had option, hey, you can convert your car engines to flex fuel engine, which is doable. But nah, let's just F them. It's just, we are not that rich. So this is bad. Like, this is just done bad with almost malicious intent. Now, do we have alternatives? Yes, we have alternatives. Fundamentally, if any nation truly wants to be environmentally friendly and independent, their option is seaweed biofuel. Why? Well, here's the deal. There is no land-based crop that you can grow that will come even close to seaweed, or let alone algae. Algae is the highest yield, meaning if I give you 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, how much biofuel you can get out of it? Highest is algae, second highest is seaweed, and then after a lot of zeros being removed, then you will get into any crop sort of system. So fundamentally, it is stupid to utilize crops to make fuel. Fundamentally, we have known this Rudolf Diesel's era. We know this. It is known, it is done. Then why don't we use algae? Algae requires two things: giant surface area and fresh water. Now, surface area, you can find it in America, but you can't find it in India and China. So maybe you can do it some places, but where the hell you'll get fresh water? And at best case scenario, optimum, like sweet spot, it's consuming around 100 liters of fresh water per liter of fuel. Yeah, no, that's not happening. Now, seaweed consumes sea. You do not have to worry about it. All you have to do is make sure the pharmaceutical company does not come close to it. Because right now we do have a ginormous seaweed mining industry. But what we do is we grow it and we eat it. You do not want to do that, because again, that leaches not only hydrocarbon, but also macronutrition. So what we have to do is mine it, basically, farm it basically on ropes. So farm a large area, collect it, leach out as much hydrocarbon as possible, be it ultrasonic shocking or mechanical compression or some sort of chemical blending, whatever have you. You get that out, and then you dump that raw biomass back into the ocean, so the nutrition cycle remains healthy. Right now we are just collecting it all. Now, like, why? Well, it is awesome when it comes to biosupplements. It's like, sure to take money. Like, you do not know how awesome seaweed is in terms of bioindustry. Like, you would be shocked, like from ice creams to supplements to everything else. So all we have to do is just expand that, make sure that these companies do not touch it, extract as much hydrocarbon as you want, and dump the biomass again, and then it keeps circulating. Now, the best output would be, you have two options. You can convert it into crude oil and then do all the distillation process. Bit inefficient, more energy intensive, but gives you a lot of flexibility in output. Or the best option in terms of environmental impact is direct biodiesel. Why? Lipid content is literally that, biodiesel. That's how the root of diesel started this whole thing. So that's the best direct option. Again, you can have your choice. You can have some crude oil, because again, you do need some heavy oil products and other things. You can have that, like small amount. Most country can switch to diesel without any issue. So that will give you true independence and will not give you any side effect for food. So that's the good part. And any idiot who is like, okay, what if it cause harm to the sea? Here's the deal. If we keep using biofuel, it will cause harm to the only planet we have. I rather have the planet with a small black spot or dark green spot that looks from the satellite, and it's like, be mindful, nature can adapt to it because it's natural. We are not building it. It's almost like how people are talking, low wind turbines, wind farms in sea causing harm. No, it's causing harm to very specific species of fish, especially large fish that are dealing with infrasounds. Other small fish, they're loving it. How do we know? All that area is becoming what we call a school of fish. I did not know it was called school. But there are a lot of fish. Why? There is no boats going there. Lot of fish. Like, again, nature will adapt to it. It's least harmful option. So we have to go to least harmful option rather than shift deleting whole rainforest, shift deleting whole food chain because we are stupid enough to not understand why food cheaper is more important. So fundamentally, that's the only third gen biofuel option that can be done long term, and I can actually give you enough surface area to do it. Look into any calculation how much surface area you need for ethanol to replace everything, and specifically the fact that it does not have energy density. You do not have enough surface area, enough farming land. You just do not. So fundamentally, that's the only thing we can do. Another aspect is, how can we fix the engine part of it? Like, so first, stop subsidy on electric vehicles, stop subsidy on ICE vehicles. So where the heck you give the subsidy? You give the subsidy, promote and subsidize range extender EV. Now, range extender EVs are a specific type of series hybrid topology, meaning it's an electric vehicle. Okay, it's a full-fledged electric vehicles. Only the difference is battery is not stupid. Battery is small. It's reasonable. Battery is a component, not wheels on battery. So battery can be swapped, can be switched. So battery could be as reasonable as 35 units, 40 units, 50 maximum. Nothing like stupid. Right now, Indian cars are reaching 75 units. I saw a Volvo truck for Indian market that's like 900 units. I'm like, what cocaine are you on? So reasonable. Why that? Well, first, smaller battery means we do not have to pay too much money to China. Second, we do not have to pay too much money to OPEC because fuel consumption will go down. Why? 80% people will be running on EV mode all the time. They're just charge it at home, slow charging, no problem. They just go to your school, go to your work, office and all that. Daily commutes, you do not have to worry about it. So 80% of the time is just an EV. 20% of the time, like for my case, when you have to do court travels, like long distance, 440 kilometer or maybe even 600 kilometer, that time is just a combustion vehicle. At that point in time, it's a very high mileage vehicle, meaning if you are in a place where it does not have good stable grid, you still have a vehicle that has very high efficiency. Why you can get 30 kilometer per liter in a series hybrid, not in a normal engine? Well, because of this puppy. And if you know anything about engine, you know about this puppy. This is what we call brake specific fuel consumption. Every engine has that. Look into Scania, look into Fiat, look into Toyota, look into Cummins. So Indian trucks have Cummins engine most of the time. So this data is findable. Now here's the unique part about it. They have a sweet spot. Meaning you will think if I put it at sweet RPM and low load, it will be good. No. It has a sweet spot. The sweet spot requires 2-axis locking, meaning let's just say in this engine scenario, you have to be at 2500 RPM. Cool, awesomely, you locked it. And your torque loading has to be at 70 Newton meter. What does that mean? That simply means if it at that point, it's gonna give you 1 kilowatt of energy, as in 1 unit of electricity for 225 grams of fuel. That is good. That is like good. But here's the same engine and you reduce the load. right? You're not increasing it. The Newton meter is not going up. It's reducing it. You're like, okay, just drive it empty. Yeah, it will go to 700. Not 700. 700 happens at 35. 500. Yeah, 500. So you will get half of your efficiency, what your engine can do. That's the core part of range extender. Range extender has the luxury of putting your engine in that point. No variable valve timing, is just an engine. It starts, goes to that RPM, goes to that torque loading, the end. And you can get a small glimpse of that efficiency if your engine has what we call real-time mileage. And that number sometimes can go way too high. Why? It's crossing through this sweet spot. And when you are direct driving, you have an engine, it has that BSFC graph, you look into like OBD data and it's like, okay, what the hell is happening? It will be like that, blah, 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 because your engine is compensating for direct transmission. Direct torque transmission, meaning the Newton meter is changing way too much and RPM is also changing, even with gearbox. So that's why going through series hybrid actually improves the mileage that you cannot achieve in any other way. And again, battery is smaller, meaning lightweight. Engine that does not have all the turbo requirements of modern engines, stripped down, would be much lighter. I'm working with engines, so I do know that part. So that is the easiest way to give basically subsidies, and all the target would be start with 25 km per liter in road, and 30 would be the next phase, 40 would be next phase. It can go very high, like very stupendously high. And if you start to add turbo to it and have turbo energy recovery from that, like how F1 has that thermal energy recovery system, 51% thermodynamic efficiency is possible. It has been possible for a few years. So that's the easiest way to reduce fuel consumption and reduce pollution exponentially. Most people will open their mouth, I need 10,000 kilometers of range. No, you don't. Most places does not have that kind of free and open road. And if you have that sort of free and open road, which would be rare scenarios, have a combustion engine that consumes far little fuel. So fundamentally, that's the reason why you have to switch everything to series hybrid topology. It can be done today. No modern technology required. Everything we have right now in market. And you're like, okay, why didn't we do that? Well, people started smoking Elon Musk too much. And series truck hybrid, which again, Edison Motor is doing, and this guy, Thomas EV, is doing it in India. And that will give you 10 to 25% fuel saving minimum, meaning if you are not optimizing, you're just putting things together, you will get that kind of efficiency. Now, 10%, does that matter? Short answer, shut up, take money. 10% of one truck is equivalent of removing one vehicle from the road. One four-wheeler from the road is just like kaput. 10% in whole truck fleets, government will notice. It's like, yo, mama, we are not burning through as much diesel as you're thinking. Do that with whole nation. Literally 15 months after that, government will be like, bro, we have to reduce our order. Fuel price will go down simply because your consumption is not like, bro, we are filling up our tanks. People are not. That's how big impact would be, 10 to 25%. And if somebody pushed it to 35%, whoo. And India has all the technology needed for that. So for example, for trucks, because you need such a high variability, especially in region, you need something that is more oomphish compared to lithium ion. You can use Dr. Rajendra Sharma's development of lithium hybrid supercapacitor. That puppy can handle amps like there is no tomorrow. Like that puppy can direct do spot welding without, it's like, are you trying to do something? So in truck sort of scenario, that's good. In other scenario, we can simply use, instead of high energy density, we can use high power density, because again, you do want region to be maximally efficient. So you can use lithium iron phosphate rather than lithium manganese cobalt, things of that nature. So we have all the technology. And again, these two I have directly conversed with. There are many other options. So, and all other major companies of India, the moment government switches the basically incentive, it will be done in 2 years. That's how quickly it can be done. So there are alternatives. If we want to do it wisely, we can do it. We can save the environment. We can reduce pollution today and have a better tomorrow. If we keep smoking methane, basically ethanol, the penalty is by 2030, India could have surface temperature as high as 61 degrees Celsius. So this was my presentation on basically ethanol blending and what the hell is going on in India. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.